So you think you know the story of Christina Haack, the HGTV queen, the design guru, the woman who could flip any house into a dream home. But what about flipping her own life? Because the final chapter of her latest marriage has just been written, and let me tell you, the details are absolutely wild. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, a source close to her ex saying he's happy to never speak to her again, and one of the messiest yet strangely fair splits in reality TV history. Forget the paint swatches and the shiplap, because today we are tearing down the walls on the finalized divorce of Christina Haack and Josh Hall, and what we found in the paperwork is going to leave you speechless. It's over. Officially, completely, and signed by a judge. More than a year after they first announced their separation, the marriage between Christina Haack and Josh Hall is legally done. The final paperwork was signed on August 26th, putting a definitive end to her third marriage. Now, when a celebrity couple splits, the first thing everyone wants to know is who got what? Who's paying who? And this is where it gets incredibly juicy. According to the court documents, which were obtained by E! News, both Christina and Josh agreed to waive their right to spousal support. Now that might sound simple and clean, right? A mutual agreement to just walk away and support themselves. But hold on, because that is not the full story. Not even close. Because while Christina won't be sending monthly spousal support checks, she had to write some very significant checks to Josh before this divorce was finalized. Let's break down the numbers, because this is where the reality of the situation really hits. The filings show that back in May, Christina handed over a staggering $300,000 to Josh. $300,000. And where did that money come from? It was for his proceeds from the sale of their Nashville, Tennessee home, their dream home, the one that was supposed to be their peaceful country escape, the backdrop for her new show, Christina in the Country. That dream is now sold, and a huge chunk of the profit went straight into her ex-husband's pocket. But wait, there's more. On top of that $300,000, Christina was also responsible for paying Josh's attorney's fees, and those weren't cheap either. We're talking another $40,000. So right there, we're at $340,000 that Christina has paid out. And if you dig a little deeper into the judgment, it gets even more interesting. The documents also mention a previous, quote, unallocated amount of $100,000 that Christina had already given to Josh back in September of last year. Unallocated. That's a fascinating word, isn't it? It's a bit vague, a bit mysterious. What was that for? A loan? A preliminary settlement? We don't know for sure, but when you add it all up, $300,000 plus $40,000 plus $100,000, that's nearly $500,000 that has gone from Christina's bank account to her ex-husband's. And here's the kicker. The detail that makes this whole thing explode. A source reportedly close to Josh came out with a statement that is just dripping with shade. This source told E! News, and I quote, "This was one of the most fair divorces in reality TV history." Okay, fair. We'll get back to that. The source continues, Josh agreed to split everything he and Christina earned together, and they each walked away from the divorce with everything that they had made prior to the marriage. And then, the final brutal twist of the knife, given there was no prenup, Christina should send Josh a thank you. But Josh is happy to never have to speak to her again. He couldn't be happier. Wow. Just wow. Let's unpack that. No prenup. Christina Haack, a multi-millionaire television personality with a massive business empire, multiple hit shows, and 2 previous divorces under her belt, did not have a prenuptial agreement with her third husband. That is a bombshell. That means legally, Josh could have potentially been entitled to a much, much larger piece of the pie, a piece of the empire she built long before he ever came into the picture. So when this source says Christina should be thanking him, they're implying he could have taken her to the cleaners but chose not to. They're painting him as the good guy who walked away with just his fair share while simultaneously delivering the devastating line that he wants nothing to do with her ever again. That is some next level strategic shade. To really understand how we got here, how this whirlwind romance ended so publicly and with such a massive payout, we have to go back. We have to look at the entire Christina Haack relationship timeline, because this isn't just a story about one failed marriage, it's a pattern, a saga that has played out in front of our eyes for over a decade. Let's rewind to the beginning. Tarek El Moussa and Christina Haack, the original HGTV golden couple. They burst onto our screens with Flip or Flop, and we were all instantly hooked. They were young, they were ambitious, they were building an empire from the ground up, one dilapidated house at a time. They had two beautiful children, Taylor and Braden. They were the American dream packaged for television. They battled cancer together, they built a business together, they were a brand. But behind the scenes, the foundation was cracking. The end of their marriage wasn't just a quiet separation, it was an explosion. The infamous incident in 2016 involving a gun and a police helicopter is the stuff of reality TV legend. It was a shocking, terrifying peek behind the curtain. The picture-perfect couple was a mirage. They announced their separation shortly after, and for a while, nobody knew what would happen to the show, to the brand, to them. But to their credit, they pulled off the impossible. They continued to film Flip or Flop together for years after their divorce. They managed to co-parent, to move on, Tarek famously marrying Selling Sunset star Heather Ray Young, and they somehow made it work. It was awkward, it was sometimes tense, but it was a masterclass in professionalism. Christina had survived her first public divorce. And then came husband number two, Anstead, the charming British car enthusiast and TV host. Their romance was a whirlwind. It was sweet, it was romantic, and it felt like the fairy tale ending Christina deserved. They got married in a secret backyard wedding in 2018, they blended their families, they had a son together, the adorable Hudson. She changed her name to Christina Anstead. Everything seemed perfect again. She had her hit solo show, Christina on the Coast. She had a new husband who seemed to adore her, and a new baby. What could possibly go wrong? Well, less than 2 years after they got married, it all fell apart. In September 2020, she announced their separation on Instagram, shocking everyone. Fans were devastated. It seemed to come out of absolutely nowhere. The divorce that followed was not as financially dramatic as the one with Josh, but it was emotionally brutal, leading to a very public and very painful custody battle over their son, Hudson. It was messy, it was stressful, and it proved that a second chance at love doesn't always stick. So after two high-profile, very public divorces, you can imagine the world was watching to see what Christina would do next. And she didn't wait long. Enter Josh Hall. Josh was different. He wasn't a TV personality. He was a former police officer turned realtor from Austin, Texas. They met, according to Christina, when she was in a very low place after her split from Ant. The connection was fast and intense. Just a few months after her divorce from Ant was finalized in mid-2021, she and Josh were engaged. By October 2021, they were secretly married. It all happened at lightning fast. To many onlookers, it felt rushed. Was she rebounding? Was she just trying to find stability after so much chaos? They bought the sprawling farm in Tennessee, which became the setting for her new show, Christina in the Country. They seemed to be all in, creating a new life away from the pressures of Southern California. They had a big, lavish wedding celebration in Maui in September 2022 to celebrate with friends and family, even though they were already legally married. On social media, everything looked perfect. Happy smiles, beautiful sunsets, blended family fun. It was the same narrative we had seen before. But now we know. It wasn't perfect. The separation announcement came just over a year after that big Maui wedding. And now, with this finalized divorce, we see the financial fallout. That $300,000 for the Nashville house is particularly telling. A house is more than just an asset. It represents a shared future, a dream you build together. Selling it and splitting the proceeds is the ultimate symbol of that dream dying. It's a tangible, expensive reminder of a future that will never happen. And let's go back to that source close to Josh. The language is so deliberate, one of the most fair divorces in reality TV history. That's a direct shot. It's trying to control the narrative, to position Josh as the reasonable one, the one who didn't take advantage of the lack of a prenup. Think about Christina's net worth. It's estimated to be around $25 million. Without a prenup, community property laws could have made things incredibly complicated and far, far more expensive for her. The assets and income earned during the marriage would be up for grabs. So, is nearly $500,000 a lot of money? Absolutely. But in the grand scheme of her total wealth, the source is basically saying she got off easy. She should be grateful. And the most hurtful part, Josh is happy to never have to speak to her again. That is pure ice. It's not they wish each other the best or they're moving on amicably. It's a declaration of complete and total severance. It implies that the end of this relationship was not just sad, but deeply unpleasant. It suggests a level of anger and resentment that public statements usually try to hide. For Josh, this chapter is slammed shut, locked, and the key has been thrown away. He wants out, and he wants everyone to know it. So what does this all mean for Christina Haack? She is once again a single woman. She is a mother of 3 children from 3 different fathers. She has built an incredible career, but her personal life has been a constant roller coaster played out for public consumption. You have to wonder about the emotional toll. Every relationship, every marriage, every breakup dissected by millions of people.